slash and burn, return. Listen to yourself churn. Locking in, uniform and book, burning blood, letting every motive escalate. Automotive incinerate. Light a candle, light a motor, step down, watching heel crush, uh-oh. This means no fear, cavalier, renegade, steer clear. A tournament of lies. Offer me solutions, offer me alternatives, and I decline. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. The other night I drifted nice, continental drift divide, mountain sit in a line, Leonard Bernstein, Leonard Brezhnev, Lenny Bruce and Lester Banks, birthday party, cheesecake, jelly bean, boom, you symbiotic, patriotic, slam button, that, right? Right. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. It's the end of the world as we know it. And I feel fine.
Hello and welcome, Doomers, to 93.7 Edge FM. It is music for the end of the world. Every Wednesday, 7 till 8. Well, most Wednesdays. I'm Chris, and I'm joined in the studio by Cass. Evening, babe.
Evening, everyone.
And what a week it's been in terms of things that are happening because of our overshoot. Yeah. I'm particularly referring to LA, of course. That was a big, well, still going on. They're not over it.
Just a little bit more visible for people to see the different effects of climate change.
That's right. It's not happening in Africa or somewhere.
overshoots.
It's happening right here at home. Yeah. It's pretty amazing. And to think that like, beach houses were burning, you know, houses, you look out and all you see is water, and you look behind you and your place is burning down. Because it was like we had the fires, what, 2019, 2020, when we had the fires?
Yeah, same thing, like going down to Malakuta and
Exactly.
all those areas. I think
Right.
what's, what's the big thing in all these fires and all these different things is just the fact that areas and places that people thought were safe or that you're not going to be affected, you suddenly realise that as the temperature keeps increasing, as, the environmental conditions, you're just much more at risk.
Yeah, that's right.
And you see it starting to see
It's
it play out.
happening everywhere.
And as I say, it's a thing of it's just the fact that there's going to be more and more regular occurrences like this. That's what it's about.
Yeah, and our ability to bounce back from them is going to become weaker and weaker.
Massive. Look what they're talking about.
I mean, the insurance industry is undergoing a huge
Absolutely.
transformation right now.
People can't keep rebuilding. You can't keep,
Yes.
establishing systems and processes. No.
And that's why tonight, Cass, that I am going to talk about those forever chemicals, but also I'm just going to recap a little bit about what has brought us to this point in our history. The predicament, not a problem, but a predicament which underlies everything else, including global warming, which has contributed to the fires in LA. I'm going to be talking a little bit about that. Music-wise, you have chosen the music, babe, and you've got quite a few good ones there.
I didn't think all my songs were going to make the list.
Well, okay, we'll see. Mighty Mighty Boz Tones, definitely. Pretenders, of course. Talking Heads, maybe. The Clash, yes. County Crows, maybe. I've got a live version, so I quite like live versions. Bentley could be. Tom Waits, definitely. Crosby, Stills and Nash, I hope so. And, of course, no Music for the End of the World is complete without the Gimmies. Me First and the Gimmies.
Let me guess, is it Wild World?
No, it's not. I've played that already. It's one I haven't played before. But it's a good one. And it actually has a little bit of keyboards in it. So a little bit of a different take for the Gimmies. Well, slightly. It is 7:08 here now on 93.7 Edge FM. Welcome to all those people listening, particularly all my Doom friends out there. We will maybe start with I'll play a song, but before I do, what I'm going to talk about first, babe, is this. Well, this is what's doing it. The human behavioural crisis driving our ecological overshoot. Because that is the key word, ecological overshoot. And as we were listening to someone, here's I've decided to put out a few names of people who want to find out some more information about our ecological overshoot and what that entails. And one of the podcasts, or you can get him on YouTube too, is called Urgent Future, is the name of the show. And it is hosted by Jesse Damiani from America. I think he actually lives in LA. We saw a show from him.
Yeah, very, very accessible, very
accessible,
cool,
very excellent speaker.
Thorough.
And he interviews lots of different people, leading thinkers in all fields, trying to clarify some of the chaos. I think he said he was a journalist, wasn't he? A journalist.
Yeah, I think he's a journalist, futurist.
And professor.
Professor.
Yeah. And he's spoken to Bill Reeves, of course, and a whole bunch of other people. But what caught my attention was that he was talking about ecological overshoot. You don't hear a lot about that from... I mean, there are a lot of people out there that talking about climate change and global warming and the loss of arable land and the biodiversity loss, but it's always in isolation to the real thing, which is ecological overshoot.
The thing
basically
about that, though, is that it's very logical. And that's the whole thing, is that people are coming to terms with talking about climate change, but ecological overshoot is, it's also incredibly logical, is the fact that the Earth cannot sustain the growth and development that the trajectory that we are currently on, which is, consume material possessions, keep building
Produce
things,
waste,
keep making things, keep using things.
No.
And it's...
Of course,
people
anyone with
very
half a
clearly-
brain can understand infinite growth on a finite planet doesn't turn out well. So I'll be talking about that first up, though, about a guy called Joseph Mertz, who's a New Zealand conservationist, and he has written a groundbreaking academic paper that reveals a behavioural crisis driving our anthropogenic ecological overshoot. And the immediate actions needed, of course, which we know will not happen. So I'll talk about that, I think, after our first song, which I think will be the Mighty Mighty Boz Tones. The impression that I get. The impression that I get is a lot of people understand global warming and climate change and are concerned about it, but they don't take the last steps to ecological overshoot, to feedback loops, to tipping points, to, hey, we've got to, change our whole human behaviour, really. So this is the impression that I get by the Mighty Mighty Boz Tones.
impression that I get. Have you ever had the odds stacked up so high you need a strength most don't possess? Or has it ever come down to do or die? You got to rise above the rest. Someone who has, which makes me wonder if I could. It makes me wonder if I never had to knock on wood. And I'm glad I haven't yet, because I'm sure it isn't good. That's the impression that I get. I'm not a coward, I've just never been tested. I'd like to think that if I was, I would pass. Look at the tested and prepare before the grace go on. Might be a coward, I'm afraid of what I might find out. Never had to knock on wood, but I know someone who has, which makes me wonder if I could. It makes me wonder if I never had to knock on wood, and I'm glad I haven't yet, because I'm sure it isn't good. That's the impression that I get. Sure it isn't good, and I'm glad I haven't yet. That's the impression that I get.
Mighty Mighty Buzz Tones, the impression that I get. Great song. I think that's from the 80s, is it, or the 90s?
I'd say 80s.
One of the two. Okay, so first up, we're just going to have a little look at this report that came out from the Mertz Institute, World Scientists Warning Behavioural Crisis Driving Ecological Overshoot. And Joseph Mertz, who maybe he started the Mertz Institute, I'm guessing, a New Zealand conservationist, has written a guest blog on the SEAI website, which is the Sustainable Energy Authority of Ireland, of all things. And he starts off by saying that it took our species 250,000 years to reach a population of 1 billion. That's how long humans have been around, about roughly, you know. But with access to new forms of energy, which enable an array of technological developments, we were able to increase that figure sevenfold in about 200 years, from the early 1800s. We added the latest billion in just 11 years.
Yeah, massive.
So it took 250,000 years to get to a billion. And then the last billion, which was made at 8, was just in 11 years. Because that's the exponential function, babe.
In action.
That's what people don't get. Things happen faster, worse. So this technology, he continues, has enabled us to largely avoid natural negative feedbacks, like disease, resource depletion. So it's allowed our species to continue to grow. While this may make sense from a narrow field of vision, all we really achieved is to push ourselves into an advanced state of ecological overshoot, he says. Their paper defines anthropogenic ecological overshoot as the human consumption of natural resources at rates faster than they can be replenished, and entropic waste production in excess of the Earth's assimilative and processing capacity. Basically, if you put it another way, it's too many of us consuming too much, producing too much waste. That's what it is. And you can look up our global ecological footprint online. There's a whole bunch of different reputable places that tell you. You can look up the global footprint, which I think happens about sometime in August. That's when we've depleted one planet, and then we're moving on to two. Of course, if you look at countries, Australia, our ecological footprint date is probably early March, I would think. It's just take us 2.5 months to do one planet, and we're on to our second already.
But I think if people reflected on what their general household use is that you can understand and see like where overshoot's coming from, because you look at a household, how much waste, how much plastic, how much they sort of consume, how many material things you're going per household. That's what we can see evident in Australia, and we obviously in underdeveloped countries they have less, but yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
Yes. Oh, listen to that thunder
big
outside.
thunder.
Yeah. He continues largely blind to the three levers of overshoot, which is population, consumption and waste. There's plenty of evidence to suggest that, like any animal, humans exploit any suitable ecological niche, displacing other species in the process, which is what we've done. Aside from almost inevitable population collapse, overshoot brings with it a range of risks in the form of symptoms. And scientists have tracked this overshoot in other species, rabbits and deers and all sorts of things. And the ending is always the same, babe. Rapid depopulation. Ocean acidification is a particularly concerning symptom, one that has been associated with a number of mass extinction events in the Earth's history. Another one is the rise in novel entities like microplastics and nanoplastics, glyphosate and the persistent and incredibly harmful chemicals like the PFAS and the PFOS, which I'll be talking about hopefully later on tonight. There's biodiversity loss, of course. That's the one that gives me the shivers the most, I think, is just the amount of natural world which is disappearing. Ecosystem collapse and, of course, climate change. And then, of course, there's everything in between, like the terrifying role that those novel entities like microplastics and nanoplastics are playing as vectors in transporting other novel entities. And he writes, most importantly, none of these symptoms can be addressed in isolation, just as none of the three levers, population, consumption and waste, can be ignored. Unless we lift our gaze, we will remain reactive and focused on the ever-increasing number of symptoms instead of the root causes. Global warming is a symptom of ecological overshoot. Biodiversity loss is a symptom of ecological overshoot. And it doesn't matter how good your intentions are and how hard you work trying to address one of those factors. If you don't look at everything in total, in a holistic way, you're running the risk and most likely will make things worse. So he gives an example, a great example of this. He says, let's take the example of a new pair of shoes. Now, for the individual purchasing, the behaviours relating to acquiring the new shoes prove immediately reinforcing, as they satisfy temporarily, the individual's desire to signal resources and status. For the merchant too, the behaviours relating to the manufacture and sale of the shoes prove immediately reinforcing, as they receive a financial reward when the shoes are sold, which allows them to not only meet their more fundamental needs, food, shelter, etc., but also in terms of their own signalling desires. However, there are also negative consequences to these behaviours that worsen ecological overshoot, like increased energy use, increased resource extraction, but these negative consequences are not felt immediately. They are realised in the future. And this is where another evolutionary concept comes into play. It's called discounting, as in give less or no regard to. And like our impulses, it used to be adaptive. Humans have a tendency to discount the importance of things that are far away in time or space and socially. Temporal, spatial and social discounting. This is what we do with the negative consequences of the behaviours described above. We focus on the short-term, immediate rewards and discount the longer-term negative consequences. Our neoliberal paradigm, which is how the world runs, has been and is still being selected for based on our perceived needs and the consequences of our behaviours to meet them. There is a complex relationship between all these factors and many more, but the broader point is that rather than solely addressing downstream symptoms like A, climate change, by replacing energy with other energy and worsening overshoot in the process, don't forget all the mining and all the fossil fuels needed to create all these renewable batteries, solar farms, wind turbines, etc. We could be working to shift our behaviours, our culture, our zeitgeist, the norms of society by intentionally guiding these much larger evolutionary processes at play. And he goes on to add that the fossil record shows that persistence as a species, that is the longevity of a species, is the exception, not the rule. So there's nothing special about Homo sapiens. It will happen to us as well.
No, that's also part of it, isn't it? Though, is the fact that we have this sort of idea that humans, being the top of the
food chain.
That absolutely that there's nothing that can threaten you, and you suddenly realise that absolutely there's lots, and this whole sense of we control it all. I mean, I think that's what part of the climate change aspect is. Is a really sharp reminder that you have no control. It doesn't matter how much what industrialised mechanisms you've got. You cannot control fire, floods, tsunamis.
I know, that's right.
Yeah.
I mean, the key point from what he's been saying so far, babe, is that you have to look at everything as a whole. You can't just concentrate on one, because that just makes the problem worse. Not the problem, the predicament, which is our ecological overshoot. All right, time for some more music, and I'm going to be playing one of Cass's favourite songs. And I think it's probably the first song I heard from the Pretenders. Would it be the first song you ever heard from the Pretenders?
I just remember on Countdown that this is certainly the songs that they used to play, and maybe that introduced me to them, and I listened to the rest of their songs.
Anyway, it's a great
albums.
song. I still think it's their best, even though it's the first one I listened to. Brass in Pocket, Chrissy Hines with the Pretenders.
Got this in pocket, gunpowder, I'm gonna use it. Intention, I'm feeling mental, gonna make you notice. Got motion, restored emotion, I've been diving, detour leaning, no reason, just seems so pleasing. Gonna make you notice. Gonna use my arms, gonna use my legs, gonna use my style, gonna use my side step, gonna use my fingers, gonna use my imagination. 'Cause I gonna make you see there's nobody else here, no one like me. I'm special, so special. I gotta have some of your attention. Give it to me. I got rhythm, I can't miss a beat. I got new skank, sorry. I got something I'm winking at you. Gonna make you notice. Gonna use my arms, gonna use my legs, gonna use my style, gonna use my side step, gonna use my fingers, gonna use my imagination. 'Cause I gonna make you see there's nobody
The Great Pretenders with Brass in Pocket. Lovely choice, Cass. Very nice.
Thank you.
Before we get back into some talking, I think it could be time for some messages from our lovely sponsors.
Bega Independent Batteries are a proudly Australian company and not only supply all types of batteries, but quality off-grid kits, solar pumps and more to the southeast coast of New South Wales and northern Victoria. They supply all types of batteries and associated products, everything from marine, aeroplane and automobile through to trucks, RVs, caravans, golf carts and smaller consumable batteries. Their aim is to provide quality products at the best possible prices. Give them a ring on 0436 460 460 or check out the website at www.ibsbega.com.au. Bega Independent Batteries sponsor 93.7 Edge FM.
If you want the SP on spare parts, see the experienced team at Parts 4 Bega. It's the place to lob if you've lost a nut or a knob, or call 64925212. Your Parts 4 store is a candy shop and more for the motoring enthusiast. There's parts galore at your local Parts 4 store. Parts 4 Bega is a proud sponsor of 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, dear sponsors, without whom we would not be functioning here at 93.7 Edge FM, Bega Valley Community Radio. So that was what I was reading before a blog post by Joseph Mertz, who came out with that report, The Human Behavioural Crisis Driving Ecological Overshoot. And basically, he's just saying that we need to be centred on human behaviour, as it's absolutely critical because it's the physical means by which our species interacts with the ecosphere, what we do, how we behave. And once we realise this and concentrate on that, then we can explore the myriad upstream systemic, biological and evolutionary drivers and influences of our behaviour and work to try and guide them. And the last thing he says is the fossil fuel record shows us that persistence as a species is the exception to the rule, and while the hour is late, we believe we may still have time to socially reflect our biophysical limits. So he's still taking a little bit of the hopium, I would say. Because if you acknowledge and realise that it's ecological overshoot, and you understand that, for climate change, for example, is CO2. The things that's affecting the climate now is from 30, 40 years ago, because CO2 is a slow, affects the atmosphere slowly. So, and we've still been using more fuels from 40 years ago up until now. That's all baked in.
I think the hopium also you have to look at in a different way. And if you look at some of the people, that are talking about overshoot, they're also saying that absolutely, the hopium is not in the sense that we're going to survive endlessly as a species. But the thing is that there are things that you can do that will prolong and give people a better quality of life for longer. You're never going to actually be able to turn back the
No, of course not.
So the reality is that absolutely overshoot is leading us in one specific direction. But what you can do is that you can't reverse all those things. But if you can slow down, so when people talk about reducing,
you can try and mitigate things a little bit. You can try and make it fairer.
But it's
for everyone,
making it a better.
But to do that, you need to come to the realisation, babe, that overshoot is a predicament.
Well, that's your first step.
And
absolutely,
because of the way that we structured our society, which is in growth, consuming, producing waste, that's the way that we have ordered our society. If you don't recognise that, you're never going to change it.
No, that's right.
Or you're not going to take steps to try and change that behaviour.
And then the reality
you see, but to get to that point, you have to really, it has to be dire It has to be, and I can't think of anything which is, the extinction of the human species, which is more dire. I mean, if you can think of a more dire circumstance, I'd be happy to know.
But that's what people have got there, which is the problematic part for people getting their head around.
Yes,
is the fact of
that's right.
accepting
it.
We have overshot.
Yes.
And now all we can do is mitigate
Go down the cliff
and try and make a softer landing, but you're not going to reverse it. There's no way that whatever we do wouldn't matter at this point now. And I think when you talk about the temperature rises and things, the fact that everyone's saying it, and it's become very public knowledge, we're already at 1.5.
Oh, we're over 1.5.
Yeah, so the reality is that we cannot, and that's already, we're in endless dangerous space. We can't pull it back. So we're on a trajectory. It's now about
an exponential trajectory.
How do we try and slow the exponential aspect of it?
And how do we make it a little bit fairer? That's what that's why I love Just Collapse. I go on bang on about them down in Tassie, but collapse is inevitable, but justice is not. There are still things we can do. And what's particularly galling to me is that all the rich people, and you can start off saying rich countries, poor countries, but then you can also go into each country and look at the rich and the not rich in each country. And they're the ones that have, that contribute the most to consuming because they've got more money. They can buy more things. They can use more things. They can have more houses. They can have more cars. They can consume more. So, of course, the richer you are, the more you consume, the more more waste you emit, the bigger contribution yours is to ecological overshoot. And yet, to make it a bit fairer, I would think, to try and help the people who don't have that wealth would be a logical thing to do. But to get to that point, you have to come to terms with ecological overshoot. You have to realise that is our predicament. Everything else is a symptom of that. And if you don't get that, then, you're not living in reality, you're delusional. And I just wonder how many politicians and leaders actually recognise that ecological overshoot is particular. I don't think there's that many.
Well,
I think they're too mired in the system. They have too much at stake in the system. They don't want to acknowledge that, and so they don't.
But the reality is that all of those people sitting in those spaces of affluence and secure positions is that for them the reality is that they don't see it. It's not impacting them. It's for it's because even say for example the fires in LA, horrific. It's terrible that people have lost their homes, etc. But those people that are rich there, they're like the stars in that sort of space. They've got plenty of money to rebuild a home and to buy their things again. So for them, they'll see it as a terrible event, but they have the finance and the money behind them, which they continue to work and earn money. It's for the everyday person that when you suddenly go, and as the fires in Australia and the fires across, I'm sure across the Amazon and those things, and once people have lost everything, they don't have anything to... No,
but my point being, babe, is that I don't know if you've heard in all the reporting on any of the media about the LA fires in the last week, have you heard the term ecological overshoot? I haven't. I've heard one or two presenters mention climate change has made the fires worse. That's it. That's as far as they go.
Absolutely.
In terms of bringing the actual reality to their broadcast.
That's right, and that's problematic, isn't it? Because you talk about, because now people are much more accustomed to the term and the discussion about climate change. But the fact, as we keep saying, is that
they're much more willing to get angry and blame the responses from the authorities. Fire people, why weren't they prepared? Blah blah blah. Where was the water and the fire hydrants? Blah blah blah.
So they're
all that
dealing
stuff.
with
But they're
the
not.
symptom.
They're not. Yes, and they miss the point completely. All right, time for some more music. What do you want, babe? Do you want The Clash, or do you want Tom Waits? I'm going to give you the choice. Foucault's Pendulum. What are you going to choose?
All right, I'll go Tom Waits.
Tom Waits, good choice. Heart
Tom
Attack
Waits.
and Vine.
recognize yourself a heart attack and mine. Dr. Lawyer, you beggar man thief. Village or remarkable looks all in disbelief. If you wanna taste the madness, have to wait in line. Probably see someone you know a heart attack and mine. Born his house, China white, shorty found a punk. Don't you know there ain't no devil, that's just God when he's drunk. Well, this stuff will probably kill you. Let's do another line. What you say you meet me down a heart attack and mine. See that little Jersey girl, a see-through top. Let the pedal push and sucking on a soda pop. Well, I bet she's still a virgin, but it's only 25 to 9. You can't see a million of my heart attack and mine. Better off an hour against your scrambled eggs. The crawling ankle winger on a broken pair of legs. You'll find your ignorance in place for every goddamn time. You're planning for the RTD, your heart attack and mine. Born his eyes, China white, shorty found a punk. Don't you know there ain't no devil, that's just God when he's drunk. Well, this stuff will probably kill you. Let's do another line. What you say you meet me down on heart attack and mine. Lie, lie with your pants on fire. White spader hanging on the telephone wire. Well, gamblers reevaluate along and down the line. Never recognize yourself a heart attack and mine. Dr. Lawyer, Blanco man thief. Billy Joe remarkable looks on in disbelief. If you wanna dance some madness, you have to wait in line. You probably see someone you know from not that back and back. See that little Jersey girl in a see-through top. Little pet don't put your sucking on the soda pop. I bet she's still a virgin, but it's only 25 to 9. You can see a failure of a heart attack and that. On his arm, China white, started found a punk. Don't you know there ain't no devil, there's just God when he's drunk. Well, this stuff will probably kill you. Let's do another line.
Heart Attack and Vine, Tom Waits. It's a great album, actually, that one, isn't it, babe? Heart
Yeah,
Attack and
love
Vine.
that one. I remember the album cover looked like an old, like,
Newspaper.
dirty newspaper.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was just saying before, I just remember when I first heard it, my father had the album, and I remember playing the songs. But when I actually looked at the picture and saw Tom Waits, it was like, how does that voice come out of someone so young? Because he sounded like some old blues,
Yeah.
old guy.
You're listening to 93.7 Edge FM. You're with Chris and Cass, and this is music for the end of the world. For all the doomers out there who understand exactly what is happening, who are under no delusions. I know there's some down this way as well. I think we should have another message from our lovely sponsors.
We have 50,000 reasons why you should show some love to your garden, so visit Irrigear today. You could win $50,000. Irrigear has a great range of Hunter irrigation products. With an automated Hunter irrigation controller, you can save money, time and water without any hassle. Wouldn't you love to win $50,000 and grow the garden you've always wanted with Hunter? It's time to win here at Irrigear. New South Wales Authority number TPO 3665. Visit irrigear.com.au/win here for full terms and conditions. Purchase required to enter.
Bega Irrigation, Bearings and Motor Supplies are a proud sponsor of 93.7 Edge FM.
Thank you, Big Irrigation. Most helpful to me when I had a problem with my pump the other week. All right, it is getting a little bit late. It's 7:44, but I did want to have a quick little mention of those forever chemicals. Most people have heard of them, or the term forever
Very
chemicals.
topical at the moment. See, there's
Oh.
a lot. There's a lot. I see it in the Canberra Times. They're reporting it because they're talking about actually finding traces of forever chemicals in the drinking water.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere. And a new study from, is it the State University, of New York, has done a study, and it's linked them to cell death in our nervous system. The study is particularly significant because it could help explain the association between these plastic-derived chemicals, once again from fossil fuel, and neurological disorders. It says that the study is showing how forever chemicals can alter our brain cells by impairing the genes that maintain healthy neurons, which are what help us survive in our brain, the cells of our nervous system. Scientists are only beginning to uncover how these molecules can trigger changes in our body's organs and systems, but some evidence links these chemicals to cell death in the nervous system according to the study. And lots of kinds of plastic contain chemical compounds that are indestructible. They don't break down into a non-toxic material that the environment can absorb safely. Instead, these forever chemicals contaminate the soil, the water, the air, and of course, as I've mentioned before on this show, they are found even in our bodies, in our blood, in our organs, in our brains. And I do believe that newborns, when they enter the world, they've already got some of these chemicals in them because it comes from the mother's blood.
New generation.
Yeah, so researchers at the State Uni of New York, that's right, recently discovered that when 11 genes that play a significant role in regulating our neuron health were exposed to 6 particular polyfluorinated alkyl substances, the PFAS compounds, these forever chemicals, the forever chemicals altered the gene's natural activity. Amongst some of the compounds that they tested was one called perfluorooctanoic acid, which hit genes the hardest in a way that diminished the growth of synapses. That's the region where nerve signals are transmitted and received. And it also reduced the survival of neurons, according to the study. This study was published last year, towards the end of December, so quite recent. And like other forever chemicals, these PFOAs are useful because they don't interact with other chemicals. That's why they use them. And of course, they are found in everyday objects, such as non-stick cookware coating, food packaging,
isn't it?
Yeah, and even ironically, firefighting foams. How many tons of them were they dumped on the fires in Australia down the East Coast and being dumped over in LA? Yeah. The first PFAS compounds were made in labs in the 1940s, synthetically produced, of course, and over decades of use they are now so pervasive that they are detectable in household dust, drinking waters, which includes rainwater, and even our blood, yes. So after exposure to these chemicals, these 11 genes behave differently. In particular, one gene that is key to neuron survival expressed less, which means it produced less of the protein needed to perform a particular function. So in essence, the chemicals partially disable the gene. And at the same time, they cause another gene linked to neurocell death to express more, effectively contributing to neuron death.
So it's very interesting in that, because then you look at certain things in our society at the moment, things like the diagnosis, and particularly of children, things like ADHD, and you start sort of wondering, like, why is there such an incredible prevalence? It
And
certainly
allergies.
seems a lot more now.
Allergies.
than
Every second child
when I
has an
was
allergy.
growing up. Exactly.
Every second person has an allergy.
And so this whole thing about the forever chemicals,
Yeah.
the forever plastics, you go,
Who knows?
well, are we starting to see some of those side effects? Is that affecting children's neurological pathways? Is that having an impact? Because we're certainly seeing it on the rise. It's much more
It's definitely got to, I mean,
prevalent.
it's got to have something to do with it. I mean, it's not good having plastic inside you. Is
No,
it?
no, exactly. Well, it's not a natural substance,
No.
is it? You're having something that is artificial, chemical based,
Like the
that
microplastics,
doesn't occur
yeah.
naturally.
The nanoplastics.
That suddenly you start absorbing, and
Yep.
particularly after that research talking about the neurological, it makes you really think. As I said, it's new territory, so who knows where
Exactly.
it's actually leading to, and what other kinds of changes in behaviour and
Yeah.
health and well-being we're going to see down the track.
That's right. Well, time for some more music, I think, babe. And because it's getting close to 8 o'clock, we've got 10 minutes to go, 11 minutes to go. And, of course, every week I always love to play the Gimmies. And this one is, and how prescient is this song? End of the Road. That's what's coming up. It could be Over the Cliff, but they call it End of the Road.
It's a good one.
Yeah. Here are the Gimmies. Enjoy.
Darling, you complete me, but you make a lot of assumptions, and when you assume things, you make an ass out of you and me. Don't make an ass out of me. We belong together, and you know that I'm right. Why do you play with my heart? Why do you play with my mind? Said we'd be forever, said it never die. How could you love me and leave me and never say goodbye? When I can't sleep at night without holding you tight, girl, each time I try, I just break down and cry. Pain in the head, oh, I'd rather be dead. Spinning around and around. Although we've come to the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you. Girl, I know you love me, you just don't realize. You've never been there before, it's only your first time. Maybe I'll forgive you, one day maybe you'll try. We should be happy together forever, you and I. Will you love me again like you loved me before? This time I want you to love me much more. This time instead, just come to my bed. Baby, just don't let me go.
Hey babe, remember when we went down to the beach and drank that 12er? We were so wasted we passed out. I got that gnarly sunburn.
Yeah!
It was so ghetto. Railer. But ever since then, I'm totally backing you. You're bitchin', you fully blaze. We got a radical future in front of us. I'm so stoked.
To the end of the road, still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, I belong to you. Come, yes, we come to the end of the road. Still I can't let go. It's unnatural. You belong to me, but we come to the end of the road.
Oh, I love the Gimmies. They're so good. That was End of the Road by Me First and the Gimme Gimmies. Terrific song. All right, it is 7:53, coming up to the end of Music for the End of the World. a couple more points about these forever chemicals. The researchers from this study, they saw alterations due to these forever chemicals, the exposure to them, and the study showed that they alter more than 700 other neuron-associated genes. But despite that number, the research team found no correlation between how much the forever chemicals accumulates in a cell and how altered the gene behaviour would be. So the team concluded that the changes in gene expression likely depend upon the particular molecular structure of each type of forever chemical that the gene comes into contact with. Because all these forever chemicals have different shapes and sizes. So that's why they explain that this study barely scratches the surface of understanding the extent of how, and there are many of these forever chemicals in many, many things.
Well, it's in everything, really.
All our household products, in fertiliser that we use, gets into our food chain. So they said that there's a massive, huge gap in our understanding of how that affects genes, and further research is needed, said the lead co-author G. Elkin Attila Gokkuman, PhD. What a great name. But it's extremely significant, this study, because basically, babe, they found that they inhibit healthy neuron function, which makes them, the word they use is neurotoxic, like some venoms. Neurotoxic. And there is a possible link between these forever chemicals accumulation in the brain and, as you were saying, babe, ADHD, attention deficit disorder, in children, and an increased cause of death from Parkinson's disease and Alzheimer's in the elderly population. But the scientists don't currently know how the genes will behave if the forever chemicals increasingly accumulates in the cells. So it's hard to predict the specific health implications.
Because it's, as you said, it's a very new area of research. But if everybody sort of looked at their house, their household, and you went around and you actually recorded the amount of plastics, and particularly plastics in your food. If you went to your fridge now and opened your fridge, had a look inside and looked at, okay, so what have you got? How many glass containers or pottery containers do you use? And you'd say, well, actually, I've got like maybe a couple of those, and the majority of your containers are plastic containers, and so maybe they do or don't. You know, was that whole discussion about, you know, PVC or with PVC, not PVC, what's better for you. But the fact that, you know, you buy meat, you buy vegetables, they're covered in plastic. You know, the effect of that, the containers
they are everywhere.
that you use. Yeah.
Like microplastics, they are everywhere. As I've said before, they found microplastics at the top of Everest, the bottom of the Mariana Trench. Antarctica, Arctic, everywhere. Yes, so that's the forever chemicals, Doomas. Just another one to put on the list. You've got to look at everything. You can't just look at global warming. It is coming up to 8 o'clock. This is the end of Music for the End of the World. And as I always say, get out there and if you haven't heard of these people, as I was talking about Jesse Damiani, who hosts the Urgent Future podcast and shows on YouTube, he talks about ecological overshoot in a very...
very logical, very accessible.
What do you call someone who speaks well? Very... Eloquent.
Articulate.
No, eloquent, thank you. Eloquent and articulate, that's exactly right.
But very accessible, so not like, I think sometimes, you know, you can have people who are incredibly verbose and they talk a lot of technical and scientific and you feel a little bit bamboozled, but I think he just talked about it in very common
And he has a whole bunch
terms.
of guests that he interviews, including, and I always tell people to look up Bill Rees, William Rees, REES, who I think he's retired now, but he was a professor. He was part of the team that came up with the ecological footprint. He explains it well too. But yeah, Jesse just very articulate and quite, what do you call it, prescient, seeing that he was talking about the fires in LA as well, because that's where he lives.
Yeah, it's very contemporary. So it's
contemporary.
Not,
You're
not listening to people talking about things from 5 years ago. He's talking here and now about the things that he's seeing, experiencing, and talking to people about.
Yeah.
Definitely worth listening to.
Me. All right, one last song. We're going to go out, of course, with the Counting Crows. Mr. Jones.
Not
Oh,
not
The
teach the
Clash?
children.
I'll teach the children. You like that one? Well, we can.
I just thought it would
I'm
be
flexible, baby. I'm flexible.
I just think it'd be nice to the whole
yes, that's
message
right.
going out is
The
that
whole
let's
message.
pass the word down.
Pass the word down. Well, that's.
Out.
Well, we
and
have
down.
to talk about this one week too. Is what do you talk to children about? How do you talk to children about ecological overshoot? Because there is that point of view where you don't, like Santa Claus. Don't tell them Santa Claus doesn't exist. They need to believe in it. They need to have that happiness. Anyway, that's for something for a future. Okay, Teach Your Children by Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young. And as I say, just like the people down in Just Collapse, who I will be speaking to in a few weeks, I'm hoping. I'm setting up a time. Collapse is inevitable, but justice is not. Teach your children, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, look after each other, people, foster those community relationships, and we will see you next week.
Who are on the road must have a code that you can live by, and so become yourself, because the past is just a goodbye. Teach your children well, their father's hell did slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh. And know they love you. And you of tender years can't know the fears that your elders grew by, and so please help them with your youth. They seek the truth before they can die. Teach your parents well, their children's hell will slowly go by, and feed them on your dreams, the one they picked, the one you know by. Don't you ever ask them why, if they told you you would cry, so just look at them and sigh.